Halston Body sat on a wall. Halston Body took a big fall. And I am beyond grateful to be able to live today and tell you all about it. You've tuned in to New Job Who Dis. Happy Monday, one and all. Thank you all for tuning into another delightful episode of New Job Who Dis. Episode 39 is here for you. I am your delightful, gorgeous, and well-faced host with the most, Halston Body, here for you. Manager to the queen and the reigning delightful specimen of championship wrestling from Hollywood, Heather Monroe. She is the queen, the best, the bee's knees. She's all of the above, and I manage her. Please tune into the United Wrestling Network programming, Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, Prime Time Live, and most recently, NWA Shockwave, Episode 1, available on YouTube now. Let's get into it. If you are one of my 13 lucky listeners, welcome back. I appreciate you being here. Sorry that I took Friday off. I know I set you up so far and leave you hanging, wondering what is next, Halston Body. What I want the next episode. And somehow, by just sheer busyness and the way the week went, I just was not able to get that episode in. My apologies. However, if you're new here, I did nothing wrong. I'm on schedule. Everything is great. Let's catch you all as I cough and choke. See, that's what I get. That's the karma. I literally just almost choked on my own spit. That's the karma I deserve for not giving you a Friday episode. And no, I'm not going to edit that out. We're 39 episodes in. We're doing one takes, baby. That's what we're doing. Let's get you all caught up, though. I feel it's important we all get you where did we last leave off? Woo! Well, yours truly was the hottest mess going. Oh, yeah. If I wanted a popularity contest on how much of a self-destructive mess I was being, this was it, kids. Ooh, it was not cute. I was not feeling cute. I was not looking cute. I was a mess. Coming off of the Great Food Truck Race for several factors. One, I was carrying a snowball of loss. I was continually taking giant L's, and they were snowballing into this bigger snowball that kind of just took over. What I mean by that is I was working for job after job after job, and I lost already one game show, and I was suddenly losing friends and people that I thought I trusted, and I was losing my mind, realistically. I lost a boyfriend. I mean, I saw that coming, but that was there. One of my best friends moved away. I mean, it was a loss, but it was a gain for him. It was a loss in just having a best friend around. He had to, set sail to Indiana. There were so many L's that I was being handed. And then the biggest one of them all, I decide that I need to take a big left turn in my life. I am inspired by a close friend by the name of Scott. I am inspired by just my own change, my own need for change, and my therapy that I'm going through, and understanding why I'm acting the way I'm acting, why I am so distraught over what jobs I'm taking and who I am as a person and what am I going through and what's happening. I end up losing on the game show, the reality competition show known as the Great Food Truck Race Season 3. The dream of changing my life for a different avenue, just to put in my own passion and desire into something I wanted to believe in was taken away from me. I mean, nobody stole it. It's not like, oh, I blame some other people for taking my dream. We just lost as a team. I lost as a person. The failure was ever present. And then day by day, as we progress out of this food truck race, more loss keeps piling up, and I crack. Realistically, I cracked. Mentally, I cracked. I tried to keep on a face. Oh yeah, no. Oh, those who know. Those who were around and saw it knew I was a mess. I was just really mentally at a breaking point. And it manifested into just so many problems for me, most of them financial. But at the end of the day, there was so many compound losses that I broke. And I was broke. Because here's what happened. So I get off the food truck race, and because I felt the wheels were still in motion and I had momentum, and realistically I did, there was no food truck to be had. There was no investors coming, knocking on the door. Hey, this sounds like a great idea. I love your passion. I love your energy. Show me some numbers. Let's see what this, how does it, let's make a food truck dream, shoot for the moon and aim for the stars. Who knows? Let's see what's going to happen. None of that happened. Not a thing. Now, it didn't help that I had no money. I mean, it was the title of this entire podcast was almost All Dreams, No Dollars. But I think that's going to be the name of the book. Or I think I'll just stay with New Job, Who Dis. But at the end of the day, this was a case of like, I have all the momentum. I have all the energy. I have all the... I mean, I have as much know-how as anybody else. I went to classes. I understood food truck law. I was trying to figure out to make sure we were in health code, and I knew all the rules of that. And I even got on a job on a food truck, and that burst my bubble because it was one of the worst. The food truck I was working for just did not add up in my mind as what I wanted out of a food truck or what the experience I wanted out of a food truck. I felt like I was imprisoned in this little, like, rinky dink. I mean, they made money. They eventually grew. But at the end of the day, the weird, awkward, sort of shady behavior that I was noticing and the lack of control I was having, it didn't add up. It's like, yeah, food truck. And immediately after that, I decided to jump back into my cookie business. Because why not? That's what I wanted to do from the beginning. And the food truck, day by day, was falling out of my reach. It just wasn't going to happen. Nobody was knocking on my door, and I wasn't able to pull out magical funds and or funding to just pull off a food truck. Just sucks. It just sucked. And this was like, there was no Kickstarter GoFundMe ready enough for me to be like, this is what's going to happen. I'm ready for this. I don't know. Yeah. So I went back to the drawing board and what I was going for in the first place, which was a cookie food truck and a cookie business. And I started it. I got it off the ground. I took whatever money I had very little, and I tried to just resource what I could. And I took the ingredients and I took the whatever monies I could just gather, and I bought a cookie business. Got a license. That was cheap. What I did was I did a GoFundMe for the cookie business to see if, like, okay, here's the momentum conversation. Hey kids, rock and roll. The food truck is out of reach right now. However, to get to that food truck, I feel like I need to start with the base business, which is that cookie business I was already moving towards. And it was a cheaper investment with less chance of a loss, a hard loss, a big loss. And I decided to drum up business. I was like, well, okay, let's do the cookie thing. Let's see what we can do. And I asked for a GoFundMe. This was the biggest mistake in the world. Real talk, I made the biggest mistake of doing a GoFundMe. Not because I did a GoFundMe, but I only asked for $5,000. Now you're thinking to yourself, well, that's still a lot of money. Oh yeah, $5,000, that's a lot of money. You can do a lot with that. And I did. I did a lot with it. But it went through my hands so quickly because I didn't do the proper math. I didn't do enough proper cookie math and or levels of like what I needed to actually get it launched and what equipment I was still missing and what I would need to like at least get it going at minimal. Advertise, I had a banner. I bought business cards to start, passing those out to everybody and anybody. The GoFundMe ate up a lot of my cost. Stupidly. I decided I was going to like give gifts as cookies to people. I thought, yeah, that's a pretty low investment. I know how much cookies cost. And if I give somebody, a dozen cookies or 24 cookies or 4 dozen cookies or however many cookies I give them, it's still a low investment. But what I didn't factor in was like postage and packaging. And like, I was so dumb. I mean, I'm just going to say it. I was so dumb with just asking for that little amount because I realistically should have asked for $50,000. I know it sounds like a lot. Wow, that's a lot of money. But at the end of the day, I had to start a business and I needed some sort of backing and I needed some sort of insurance policy and I needed something behind that. So in case it just didn't take off right away, I still had some momentum. I still had some resource to work with. But poof, that $5,000 was eaten up so fast. I mean, I got it off the ground. I got the license. I did the research on what I needed to do. I got a business going. I actually went out and sold cookies in front of a comic shop. I actually sold cookies a couple times to like get it off the ground. I prepped a couple days before. I got the cookies fresh, got them ready to rock. Oh yeah, we're gonna sell cookies. I packaged them up. I created all the price lists, and I got frames for it. I was just like, let's do this. And I sold some cookies. It was okay, but it wasn't enough. I was dry, out of money. And I had nothing. I was working this food truck, and it was part-time, and it was, and the cookie business fell apart, and this food truck experience just sucked right off the get-go. It was like, oh, this seems fun. Oh, no, it's not. Inconsistent, bad communication, and the cookie business just died. It was like, I always equate it to like trying to launch a rocket. I was trying to launch this rocket, and I lit the fuse, and I got the thing to go psst, and it fell right back down the ground. It lifted off. I got it like a foot off the ground, but it just crashed and it was over. And I had to I didn't have the money to rebuild the rocket, and I didn't launch into space. Shot for the moon, got to my kneecap. That's about as far. So there's another big L. I mean, again, I got it somewhere. There was potential. I just ran out of money. Just lost my all the while. The other psychological folding that was happening was that I had this. I talked about this in the previous podcast. I had this weird. I think I talked about it once before. I had this weird, noticeable deck shuffling of friends. Nobody actively like unfriended me. Nobody was like, I can't stand you anymore. We're not friends. But what I was noticing is that the behavior was different. There were nobody was, it was just weird. I shouldn't say nobody because that's not the right word. Completely different people suddenly lit up and showed up in my life to help me. And when I say help me, I mean hold my hair while I cried my way and depressed my way for a good 6 months. 6 to 8 months, I was probably like the most depressed, and I was a mess. it was weird. I was noticing these behavior patterns of like what I had talked about previously about my therapy sessions and how I was as a human being and the way I behaved and how I was give, but I never took. And I always had to learn how to take and accept. I mean, it's simple as compliments. Hey, you look great today. I would always bat it. Oh, come on, I'm a mess. I didn't shower. Like whatever. Like I would always just knock people as the low level. I would knock people's compliments out of their hands. I would never accept compliments. And I had to learn all that. I unlearned my own behavior. But this was a case where it was highly noticeable that the people that I assumed, and maybe there it is, I made an ass out of myself, I assumed were friends to me. I assumed were friendly. I assumed cared. That was the big one. I think I assumed they cared. Were nowhere to be found. They're gone, absent. Not anywhere to be found. Not anywhere. Nobody's checking in on me. For months, I felt like I was reaching out or at least hitting when I went to therapy about this, because I had to check myself. I clearly was in a big ball of pain from all this loss that I had manifested and or was going through and or dealt with. And it was painful because, again, imagine your life is about to change. And it's not a lottery ticket. It's not like, oh, I could have won the Powerball. Like, it's not that. I worked hard and I felt like I was working towards change. I was putting in serious effort and hours and days and weeks on end of me trudging through all these lessons and all this work and all this trying to change the course of my life. And it slipped. All of it fell right through your hands. And I was broke. And that doesn't make anything better. It's not like I had a quick fix with money. So what I was noticing is that all these people were just like completely absent out of my life. That I was shocked that they were. And then I talked about how like all these other people came in to help. And I was stuck because what I was trying to get through in my therapy was why I was so bent out of shape about what those people that I used to be around and all those ex-friends, and I'll say it with confidence, ex-friends, people that I do not associate with anymore. I had no evidence of what I personally was doing to cause their indifference or ire, or how, like, some people thought my dreams were a joke. Some people thought that what I was chasing was just a lark and some joke. And I was so serious about what I was trying to do that it felt like I was already at a point. And it's funny because this will hammer it home. I am a very self-critical human being. I'm highly self-critical. I am always making sure I try to put on my best. I don't want to burden other people. And this is what I had to learn in therapy, by the way. So I'm sharing some of the knowledge about what I had to look in the mirror and face about myself, is that I'm highly self-critical. And on top of that, I discovered that I care more about other people's well-being than I care about my own. I worry about what other people think about and care about than I worry about what I care about or think about. I am very concerned about, and this wasn't as a big of a deal as it was 20 years ago, but it was still present, is that I was caring about what other people thought. And it's not because I was hanging on their opinion to make a decision. I just was more concerned about, like, well, what did I do wrong to piss people off? What was so wrong about what I was doing that was causing people to, like, run away from me or not want to be around me or not give a crap? And at the same time, this was being compounded by my own depression and my own, it turned into suicidal ideations. I was considering it. Always talked myself out of it easily. It was like, it was a notion that flew through my head like, well, you could just end it all. And then the immediate, like, you know, hey, the devil and the angel on the shoulder, the angel popped up on the shoulder bigger and louder and was like, that's not fun. You shouldn't do that. And it won easily every time. It was like this. I did it 3 times. And the 3rd time, I finally cracked out of it. And I'll get to that in a second. But what I was going through therapy is that I wasn't realizing that I was just more, it was just this big ball of like concern that I was not willing to accept that I fell on my face. I wanted to keep the dream alive. I wanted to push so hard. I was, again, falling off the ladder, and I'm like, come on, I still want this. And it was rough. And so when people in my life or outside of my life at this time were critical of that, or critical of me, or critical of what I was doing, or critical in any way, shape, or form on a level that didn't seem productively critical, right? It's one thing to step in and go, hey, I see you're struggling here. I see you're having a problem. How can I help? Is there something maybe you need help with? But instead it was like this behavior I was noticing of like letting me, like I was the turtle on my back and I was flailing and people were just letting it happen. And again, no expectation. No, like, come on, you should help me. But I mean, you clearly knew, people knew I was in distress. People knew I was not in a good place. And I broke. I had so many breakdowns. I had so many mental things. I mean, I was eating ramen, stress eating ramen, like 3 packs of meal. I was bad shape. It was not cute. I was broke and poor and eating like garbage and everything was falling apart around me. And I was having emotional breakdowns and I got some clarity finally. I broke through. Few things happened for me to crack and finally go, okay, this is enough. I can't do this anymore. One was obviously supportive friends who understood and listened to me. I am forever grateful for those who held my hair, who listened to me cry, who listened to me whine, repeat my story over to them, make sure I ran it through a strainer over and over again to make sure I was not losing my marbles about what I was witnessing and how I was feeling and what I was going through mentally. My husband, my current husband, who was then my boyfriend, he understood. He stood by me. He got me through it in so many ways. He was so helpful to just help me keep my sanity. And he said something very poignant to me once when I was going through another spell. And I was on the phone with him. He wasn't even living with me yet. He was up in Oregon. And we hadn't even become like, live-in boyfriends at that point yet. We were just doing the long distance thing. And he said something so important to me. And he after he'd heard enough of what I was going through and he knew where my mind was at and where it cracked and what was going on, he finally just said to me at one point, he said, I don't know how to tell you this. And I don't want it to come off as something bad or sarcastic, but you need to know or learn how to care less. And it hit me. Oh, yeah, you're right. I do need to care less. I need to thank the therapists who listened to me because one of them got me. One of them figured it out. She was wonderful. And unfortunately, good for her. She had to go on to graduate school, but she nailed me. She nailed me. She said to me once, I'm going to share those lessons that I got from this. She said, sometimes in life, you have to put on your own oxygen mask first. And she said, I don't think she said sometimes. She said, you just have to. In your own day-to-day and how you live, you have to put on your own oxygen mask. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, you've been on a flight, right? when they tell you if oxygen masks pop from the ceiling and you have to get oxygen, what are the instructions? They tell you put your mask on first, then you can help others. Then you can put oxygen masks on others if they need help. And I had to think about that for a second. She goes, right, because if you don't put yours on and you're too busy helping others and trying to make sure everybody else is breathing, you're going to die. Well, what happens when you die? You can't help others. Oh, that hit me so hard. You're right. It was so, I'm thankful to every friend who just got me through this. One of my best friends, Pat, got me through. He was one of he was one of the biggest, I don't want to call him a victim, but he was one of the people that had to endure a lot of my pain. I broke in front of him and I cried painfully, and that uncontrollable snotty sobbing in his arms for a good hour and a half one time, because I finally had to choke down the notion of asking for help. And you're like, what? You seem so confident. You seem so put together. You know what you're doing out there in this wild, wild world. What do you mean you had to beg and ask for help? You're talking to somebody who is painfully self-sufficient. Where that's the detriment I have, is that I want to try to figure it out all on my own. And it's not out of ego. I'm not trying to be the smartest guy in the room. I'm not trying to show off that I know things. I'm not at all trying to be the wizard that is, oh, well, I've done that and I know things and that. I feel like there's this thing inside of me that essentially, at the end of the day, wants to give it the college try and not just give up and not just, who cares? Let somebody else do it. I want to learn and try and give it my best shot before I have to reach out and go, okay, I need to phone a friend. I mean, it's the principle of the game and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? I am absolutely determined to try and get the right answers up until the point where my brain goes, no, you definitely need help on this one. You do not know this answer. If I'm somewhere in the ballpark, I'm going to keep trying for myself. And I don't know what it is. It's not, it's not like I don't want people's help. It's not like no, I've got this. It's mine. There's no struggle there. I just feel like I don't want, it ties into that whole burden thing. I don't want to be a burden to anybody. I don't want to be put on, somebody to be, oh, help me out. I need your help. I don't know what it was. And at that time I had to get choked out of that. I had to get shaken to the core to get myself out of that mind frame. Because if I didn't ask for help, I don't know where I'd be right now. Real talk. I don't know where I'd be. I don't know what I'd be doing. I might not even be right where I'm at right now. I have no idea. But I had to swallow this pain and swallow my whatever pride I had or whatever ain't too proud to beg moment. I had to ask him for a good chunk of money and this wasn't just to have fun with. I had a car that was the gas tank was leaking. No joke. My shoes had a giant hole on the side of them. And it was the only pair of shoes I had. It was these Nike New Balance. They were New Balance black shoes, and they just had this tear on the side of them, and they were worn out. I had no money. I was broke, painfully broke. And it was just awful. It was an awful time. And the last time I decided to think about, I was up, just insomniac at times and just up. There were times that this last time that I thought about it, I was up, it was 3 a.m. I couldn't sleep. My brain was just racing, having a conversation that it just wouldn't shut up. And the last time I thought about it, it was just this thing where, the logic broke is what happened, right? I already had the conversation with them before where it was like, oh, you should just off yourself. And then everybody chimed in and was like, no, that's not fun. Don't do that. My brain was like, yeah, this isn't going to be easy. You shouldn't drink. You shouldn't take pills. You shouldn't jump off building, whatever. There is no fun way to do this. There's no light and easy way, and the burden of it tied into the burden thing again. Thankfully, I don't want to burden people because I didn't want to burden anybody on a notion of, oh, they got to clean this up. It was so practical. I mean, I'm thankful to be practical because nothing was practical about anything I was thinking about. But the last time I thought about it, the logic brain just stepped in and finally put that fire out. And it said, hey, you are absolutely feeling like you're the loneliest guy in the world. Yeah, it sucks. What you've been through sucks. And it's not easy. But you're not alone. You have roommates right down the hall that are your landlords and own this place. And you could reach out to them. They're 25 feet away. You have a friend that's right downstairs that has been through your pain and has listened to you and held your hair and understood. You could wake them up at any hour if you were really hurting. Oh wait, you have a boyfriend. Oh right, you have a boyfriend. He's there for you. All right, your parents are still in the ballpark, aren't they? Yeah, they still care about you. They still love you. All right, I have all these friends these new friends that care about me. Yeah, that's right. They do. Yeah, why am I focused on all these people that don't give a crap about me? Why am I focused on all these people who don't care? And they're not even in the stadium, right? The game's going on. It's not they just went to go for a pee break and they'll be back. They're gone. They left. They're not even in the parking lot tailgating. They were like, fourth inning, I'm out. Like they just left. And my brain was so focused on those people. I was so concerned about what I had done or what was wrong or whatever, that it was completely bananas and backwards. And that's what cracked me. I was like, what are you idiot. You have all these lovely people in the world that really, truly care about you. And they've shown it. And they've proved it. Not that you needed them to prove it. They just did it. One of my best friends, Tito was there. My friend Mike was very much it's like hey, let's have coffee and let's talk kind of. I needed another therapist that wasn't a therapist. There were so many moments of just like, I need somebody to hold my hair and help me make it through the day by just listening to me. And my brain was so focused on the people who weren't. And I had to stop it. I had somebody finally tell me, and this was another life lesson that I had to learn. Because again, I was going through this thing like, why are these people gone and absent? What have I done? What do I do to repair this? I don't know. But that was the thing. I couldn't repair what was happening, and the writing was on the wall. I mean, all I had to do was step back and kiss myself. No, you knew that was coming. No, I had to step back from myself and watch the behavior. Pay attention to the behavior without you being part of it. Just watch how they act. Just watch how they behave. Watch how they treat others. Watch how they talk online. Watch the behavior of all these people that you were so concerned about to see if it matches up. See if the lights light up because they actually match to what you have been thinking and paranoid about and so concerned and in your head and going to therapy about. Are all these people there for you? Am I painting a wrong picture of all these ex-bears and ex-bear friends and all these other people that I was like so concerned about holding on to their friendship for dear life? Yet they weren't even in the building. They were nowhere to redeem anything. They were gone, just absent. And I was too concerned about it. Well, I did get some redemption on that. And I did get some answers. I pulled a couple of them into private, like, hey, we haven't seen each other in a while, lunches. Let's catch up. And, I had to be a little bit underhanded about it to get to where I had to clear my conscience of what did I do so damn wrong that caused people to leave me in whatever fashion they did? I mean, nobody wrote me any Dear John letters, and nobody like came at me and went, "You're the worst human being ever. I can't be around you anymore." But the behavior was clear that there was something wrong. The behavior pattern changed completely. So I knew something was wrong. And it was funny because I pulled a couple of people that were a couple into like separate meetings and separate like dinner lunches on purpose. So it didn't become a 2-on-1 or a 3-on-1. I didn't want a group. I didn't want to have this like group session so I could get to the bottom of like, do the dots connect in my brain? Do I need this? Well, it's interesting because what the feedback I got completely painted the picture correctly. I was not crazy. I was not gaslighting myself. I was not causing myself to be an idiot and overthinking it. I was correct. And I didn't even want to be right. I wasn't even trying to prove a point like, yeah, I knew they were no good. It was just this matter of like, yeah, this lines up what you're telling me about how you're behaving and what you behaved like and why you behaved the way or the lack of behavior towards me completely lined up with the way I thought it was going down. Narcissism, ego. What about me? All about me. By the way, no are you okays. No, hey man, we are all concerned about yous. Not a single like, oh man, we hope you survive and we really believe in you. It was just like, I think the best thing I heard, which made me go chef's kiss, was like, oh, you couldn't take criticism. That was one of the things I heard from the people that were like completely absent. They were like, yeah, you had a really hard time taking criticism. I was like, I didn't react. I didn't like, I was saddened to hear that in a level of like, this is the reason why. It's because I am so self-critical. And because of the work I was doing and the strainer I was putting everything through to make sure I was doing it right and make sure I heard from people, I was like, how did I not take criticism? Because I had cookie parties where I literally put up walls of paper and an open canvas for people to crap down my throat about like, this is the worst cookie ever. I asked so many people for their thoughts. In fact, I was probably too concerned about other people's opinions and too concerned about other people's criticisms that I lost myself in what I was doing. So it was a laughable accusation because it's like, I'm not going to act very friendly to anybody who's just crapping on my ideas without any sort of like constructiveness. And I had people that were like that. They were just like, they're just dumb and you're dumb and this is not going to work and you're dumb. It was just like, that's not helpful. No, you're not helping by just crapping on my dreams and making me feel like what I was doing is a joke. So all that, what was redeemed for me was the notion that I wasn't going crazy. The people and the human beings that were in my life at one point that were no longer in my life, yeah, that was the reason, mixed with my not needing to be around that bear world and all those people in it and everybody around it. There was a part of me that probably just needed that reset and needed that shuffling of the deck because I was in the worst place and I didn't need to be around that. Just had to shake it off. And once I got through that suicidal like dip, the clouds started to show up. Because what I realized in all this failure, this is the wrap-up lesson of this entire mess that I got through. Because there's sunshine at the end of this. I know I've spent 40 minutes talking about how bad it was and what I had to mentally go through. I mean, I went through so much therapy. And I had talked to so many people. And I had to have my own personal breakthroughs. And I had to break away from behaviors and completely change my own way of doing things for myself and for others, because it was just not good the where I was. Through all that wreck and destruction, it was so necessary for me, because I needed to learn that I needed to actually ask for help. That was the biggest lesson. When I needed the help, I needed to ask for it. And up until that point, I was just too driven to let any of the people knock me off my ladder and knock me off my, like, whatever I was, the columns I was climbing to chase this dream. That was my short-sightedness, and that was gone. Now I know how to ask for help. Now I know how to choke down whatever. Yeah, I know I'm in a bad place, and I don't want to put people in a bad place, but I need the help. Right? So thankful for that, grateful for that. I want to feel great loss for all the people that I don't talk to anymore, and the people I don't surround myself anymore. And I want to feel like some sort of like, but somebody said something very poignant to me. That when I was going through this crack of all this, I was like, she said, hey, think back for a moment, from where you're at. Stop right where you're at. Go back 5 years. Think for a second who you hung out with, who were your tight 5, or who were your tight 3, or whatever. And then go back to 10 years. And then go back 15 years. And think about who you were close with. And think about who had your back then. Are they still around? And I did. I started going through my Rolodex of people and names. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. And it wasn't because of like purposeful action or active hatred or get out of my life, I hate you. It was just a natural progression of people that just came in and out of my life that provided such perspective for me to realize maybe I didn't need these people. Not because they're awful human beings or anything. They didn't do anything. Again, these people that I'm indicting in any way, shape, or form, if it feels like an indictment, it isn't. It's just more of like, at the end of it all, I had to realize that I got to take care of me. And if it means getting rid of people in my life that I don't find that are quality, or they don't, it's not that I need anything from them, but when the natural human instinct to take care of somebody in some way, shape, or form isn't there for me, and they are other types that are self-absorbed or completely just, they're not even aware that maybe somebody else is in pain or somebody else is they need a hand. And mixed with their just how they treat others and all the other factors that just lined up in my head of like what was acceptable to me. And if this wasn't acceptable as a standard for me to be cared for or take care of myself. And that was the oxygen mask I needed, is to realize that I need quality people in my life, not quantity. Because that was the other big part. I thought that was the mistake I made, and the assumption I had is I thought I had so many people in my life that if Matt was my safety net, perhaps, that was somehow, I know a lot of people and they all know me. So if something goes wrong, maybe that will be like, I hopefully will have enough safety net human beings in my life that it won't all be so bad. But my safety net didn't show up until I actually hit the pavement and then had to get back up and get taken into care, because that's really what broke me. How did I get out of it? Well, through all those lessons and through everything I went through, the final straw just kind of became, you have been through the worst. This is the worst. It can't get any worse than this. It really can't. You had holes in your shoes and you had nothing in the bank. You were thinking about ending it all because you didn't have there was no lightness at the end of the tunnel. But the lights started showing up. And I went back to the driven, hardworking, I gotta get out of this I've got to get out of this. That's what it shook me. It just shook me to the core to finally realize I need to do something. I need to choke down my pride. I need to ask for help. I did. I called out to one of my old managers that I used to work with at Hard Rock because he now worked at a Red Robin. I was like, brother, I need help. I need a job. I need something. And I finally found my next job. It took a while. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about it on Friday. I can't give it all away, but I finally found something that led to something even bigger and something way better. And we'll get to all of that. But we'll talk about that on Friday. I know. I leave you hanging on a Friday. And now I'm going to leave you again until a Friday. But yeah, redemption came, and clearly I'm here to talk about it. I'm here to be grateful. I'm here to thank all of those who supported me, even the ones that didn't. It taught me so many lessons about myself. And, anybody who's not in my life anymore, I don't have any apologies anymore, because at the end of the day, I have to take care of me. And it's, just like the people I hung out with in high school, I haven't seen them in 20 years. I mean, there's people that I worked with that were great for a small period of time, but guess what? That's the life lesson I had to learn, is that not everybody is with you forever. They're not always with you for the rest of forever and amen. You'll get a couple good ones that'll be with you for a long time. They're lifers. But everybody else, they come and go, and it's not. Sometimes it's things you can't control. It really isn't. You put out your best effort. You put out your best presentation. You try to be the best person you can be, and not everybody subscribes to it, and some people unsubscribe to it. They don't. It just doesn't all work out in the end as you want to romanticize and make it all everybody's hand in hand and hands across America and kumbaya. It doesn't. That was the slap in the face that I had to take, and it made me a stronger person. Made me realize this is what I have to do to protect myself and protect my brain and not give in to, just whatever old ways of thinking that I used to be like, because it didn't pay off and it didn't work. So we had to rethink and go back to the drawing board and reset myself, and I'm a better person for it. So thank you for all those who suffered with me and suffered through me, and I'm grateful for those who are ghosts in the machine. They're past, and they're stories to talk about. Life is good, and we are moving forward. So we got out of it, and we're here to talk about it. And that's probably the biggest bit of gratitude, is that I'm alive, and I didn't fall that far. I got out of it. So again, knock on wood, and thankful to so many. But please tune in on Friday. There's more of a redemption story. It gets better and bigger, and we're getting close to the end. Yeah, no, we're getting close to the end. We're literally, I want to tell you right now, we're only about 4 episodes away from being done. Oh, what? Oh, I know. If you just started now, you're way late, but you have 38 episodes to catch up on. It's only 38 hours worth of programming, maybe 40 or somewhere in there. It's a whole week of work. But yeah, thank you for listening. This is kind of I've talked about this recently before, but this is actually kind of a rough draft for the book I'm going to write, and it'll be a little bit more meatier, and it'll have a little bit more extended play to it. But yeah, you're hearing the first draft, the verbal draft, let's piece it together and talk about the things we did, because boy, I have been through it. But I'm here for you, darlings. Hey, tune in. Thank you all for subscribing. Please subscribe if you haven't. Please, it's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean Network, iTunes, all those things. It's everywhere you want to be. If you are new here, please add, please like, please share, please comment. Thank you for letting me share my pain and letting me share my ramblings about the roughest spot of my life that I had to get through to get to where I am today. And again, I'm grateful for everybody and everything, bad and good, because this is how you learn. This is how you grow. If it's all shiny and beautiful, it just, you don't understand why the edges get rough sometimes. But now I get it, and now I understand. So I love you all. Thank you so much. Please tune in, and I'll say this every again. I'll say it every week, as I always do. Sing along because you know it's a hit. Tell a friend, tell a neighbor, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell your sister, tell your brother, tell everyone. You've been listening to New Job. Who dis?